Hello and welcome to this week's video. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this week in that I have no idea what I'm doing. For my fourth piece for this witch costume, I'm going to be making a leather belt, and I have literally never done any kind of leather work before. I've never done kind of leather tooling. I don't know. I have done nothing of the sort. There were some leather classes offered at CMU for our grad program. I had a little bit too much on my plate already, so I decided not to do the leather working. So I'm doing it for the first time today. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, but that's about all I've got on information. Hopefully this will go well. This is gonna be a little bit different than my normal videos in that I cannot give you any tips and tricks that you cannot find on YouTube already, but hopefully you guys still like it. It'll be a fun adventure. Why are you trying to run away now? You wanted to be held so bad. You wanted to be held so bad and now you want to run away? Alright. So hopefully this is still interesting, even though I can't give you guys much useful information. It'll be a little bit of a trial and error and learning something new. I think I took on a little bit too ambitious of a project for my first project, but you know, that seems to be the pattern. Then we're just gonna go with it. Okay, bye-bye. No, wait, you're not allowed down in here. You are a troublemaker. Okay, I'm gonna go put him back. Are you ready to start this project? Alright, let's see what we gotta do first. I think it needs to get wet, or I need to put tape on it or something. I'm not really sure. We're gonna go with it. So I have my belt blank here and a template that I printed off the internet. You can buy acrylic templates. It's actually pretty hard to find a printable template. I printed this off of Tandy's website where they were selling a template. Because this is my first project, I don't know if I'll actually like leather working. I didn't want to buy a template without knowing. So then that's what we did. I also bought like the basic 7 tool set with rack. This is my first time opening everything. So I think what I have to do first is cut the two ends of the belt so that it's not just like a blunt rectangular end, right? I'm gonna use the entire length of the belt because it turned out I thought that the shorter length was going to be long enough, and for the kind of belt that I want, it's not really, but we're gonna make do, it'll be fine. So I think first I need to cut this, but I think I'm supposed to wet it first, but I'm also supposed to like stabilize the back. I saw one video that said I could do it with painter's tape as like a quick and easy fix, but if you're doing these professionally, you should use your poster board and attach it with contact cement. All my contact cement is dried out. So we're gonna use the painter's tape because we've got a ton from painting the house. Forgot to mention, I also got a bunch of narrower strips of leather because I want to make some kind of like, I don't know, potion bottle holder thing. I'm not really sure. I also got this bag kit here so that I have somewhere to put my phone when I go places. Yep. Okay, I have got my holes all punched out. I also thinned out this part since this is going to go around the buckle and it'll get folded on itself. It is not the most super even and not the prettiest, but it'll be hidden like this, and this will get some rivets in it so that it stays like that and nobody will ever see the inside of my belt, so it's fine. This is the belt buckle I got. I think it's really cute and I think it'll match kind of. I don't know. If it doesn't, it's still cute anyways. So this is a belt keeper. This is the thing that goes in between the two rivets there and keeps the little tail end of your belt in place. I've punched some holes so I can stitch it later, but I'm gonna dye everything at some point, so I figured it's probably best to dye it before I stitch it, right? I don't know. It's got kind of marked up because this was the very end of the 1/2-inch strip that I got, but I don't really care. This is a witch who lives in the wilderness. She can be a little bit beat up. So I think next I should put the painter's tape on the back and then wet the whole thing down so I can trace my design. So that's very exciting. I had to get all this stuff out of the way first, I think, but it's going. It is going somewhere. I accidentally bought a belt buckle that is slightly too narrow for the width of the belt that I bought. I thought it would fit and it didn't. It's just, the belt is just, it needs to squish a little bit more. So I ended up thinning down the sides as well, which I don't know if you can tell or not. It's not the most evenly done, but I tried to even it out a bit. So I thinned it out a little bit so that it does fit. So I think I'm gonna clean up a little bit and then start tracing the pattern. And then I get to start actually doing like the tooling, that's what it's called, the stamping, that stuff, you know, all the fun part. Okay, great. Let's clean up a little bit. It's a mess. The next step for the belt is to carve everything out with a swivel knife. I started yesterday. This was my practice. I just did it on the back of the belt because we like to live on the edge here, but I think it went pretty well. All of the tutorials I watched said that it's a really steep learning curve and that it's kind of hard, but I found it pretty easy. I don't know what would have given me the skill to do this, but it was not too difficult. Going around these like smaller curves was a little bit hard, but doing all of this stuff was really pretty easy. So if you're scared of doing leatherworking because people say swivel knives are hard to use, don't listen to them, just go for it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I have this whole belt to do, so that's what we're doing today. I also bought this bag kit. I think I talked about this. I bought this bag kit because I want somewhere to put my phone and like wallet and stuff, and I'm really excited to work on it now that I have started getting into doing this. It's much less intimidating now that I'm actually starting to work on everything, so you know, that's always a good sign. You also want it to be quite wet when you're working on it, so it's dried out overnight because I did this yesterday, but I've just got a little spray bottle here and I'm gonna keep spraying it down as I go so that everything stays pretty wet. So for one, it makes it easier to cut, but I think it also helps all these cuts open up rather than just being slices into the leather, if that makes sense. So I've been practicing a little bit. I've been working on some of the back sections, so there's like one side of the front of the belt and there's the other side of the front of the belt. So I figured I'd do my practice on the very back of the belt since that is unlikely to be scrutinized very heavily, and I didn't buy enough leather to do any practice on, so that's okay, it's fine. It's turning out pretty okay. I'm not like the most happy with it, so I wouldn't say that I'm very good at this yet, but it is definitely passable. I would give myself a solid like C+. So I originally purchased just like a kit of tools. Came with only a few of these. Came with this pear shader here. That's what this little teardrop shaped thing is. So it came with this one. It came with cedar, and I don't remember what this one on the right is called, but I haven't used these literally at all because the design I'm doing does not need them. So they're just kind of sitting there, not being used. Same with this guy. This is a veiner, I believe. He's a big boy, but he's also not getting used because I don't need him for this project. This beveler, which I have used. So those were the main tools it came with. It came with 4 stamping tools and then the swivel knife, as well as this nice stand right here. So far, all I've used is the pear shader and the beveler. They're pretty large as far as those tools go. So I was having a lot of trouble working on this pattern because, you know, it's kind of a tight pattern there. I looked at my pattern again and was like, what are all these numbers on there? Turns out they correspond to the tools that you need for this pattern. So don't make the same mistake I did. So I went out to Tandy, thankfully there's one close by, and I purchased some more tools. So that's what these guys are. And they are a lot less chunky than the ones the beginner kit came with. So I've been able to do a lot better with like getting into all of the little shading areas, so that's good. I'm still learning, obviously, and like my technique is not great, but we're getting there, and having the right tools definitely helps. I don't know, I don't feel comfortable giving you guys a tutorial for how I'm doing this because I'm just kind of trying to figure it out as I go. So I will link a few tutorials that helped me out, rather than giving you much direction for how to shade this, because like I'm not good at it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following tutorials. Like this part, this little section is really ugly, but like look, I did a better job down here, so you know, that's something. Progress. So that's what I'm going to be spending the next couple of days doing, because this is tedious work and takes a while, but I'm having fun doing it, so I don't mind. I also wanted to add some little bottle holders because I sent some bottles from Micah's work for a fun cocktail night, but the bottles are super cute and I think they really suit the kind of witchy vibe that I'm going for. I wanted to make some little bottle holders so I can carry these around with me. I mean, they will not have the rum in them when they are being carried around, but you know. So I am cutting some 1/2-inch strips of leather. I did a test to see if my grommet would go through. This is not the side that worked. Here we go. The grommets will go through a single layer of the 1/2-inch strips, but it will not go through a double layer. The strips are too chunky. I've got some rivets that I bought specifically for this purpose. Those will go through the double layer, and then I'm going to use the eyelets to like lace it so it holds it tight, if that makes sense. But that's the other thing that I'm going to be working on. I wanted to work on the bottle holders and also the bag at the same time, so that when I'm dyeing the belt, then I can just dye everything all at once, and I can make sure that I have as good a chance as I can of making the colors consistent. I'm taping it down just because it helps it not like move around a bunch while I'm trying to hammer it, because it's already hard enough trying to sit there and hammer and like hold the thing with my non-dominant hand. If I try to hammer with my left hand, then I end up just missing the tool entirely. I've decided that hammering with my right hand is better, because then at least I get the tool like hit with the hammer. But then I'm holding the tools with my non-dominant hand, and I'm like the least ambidextrous person in existence. So I've found it a lot easier if I tape the belt down so it's not moving, so I don't have to hold it down like with my finger like this and also try to move. It's just easier this way. So like before with the cutting, you gotta spray everything down. You can also just wet it with a sponge, but I don't like to keep open things of water on my sewing table, so I'm just using the spray bottle just to dampen everything, and that makes all of the marks come out nicer. all done with the leather stamping, and I think it turned out pretty well. I'm really happy with the belt flap. I think it's really cute. I'm pretty happy with how the belt turned out as well. So I think it's really cool. You can see that like where I started, I was struggling a little bit. My cuts aren't as smooth and my stamping's not as like even, but once you get down to like the belt ends, it looks a lot better. So yay, progress. That's cool. I love being able to actually see how my work progresses and like how I can get better with practice. This side is definitely the best. Unfortunately, it'll be under the belt tail, but oh well, it's fine. I think the belt tail also looks pretty good. I've let everything dry overnight, so it's very, very dry, and I'm going to be painting it today. Everything needs to have time to dry, so I'm spreading this out over a couple days. I've gotten really conflicting information on how long all these things need to dry. So these are all the paints and stains that I've got. So the first one that's going to go on is the EcoFlow water stain. The tutorial I was watching basically said to let it dry overnight. Someone on a forum emailed him to ask what the drying time's on because they don't state them on the bottles. The email that he sent back to this forum person said that spirit-based stains will take only a few minutes to dry, whereas water stains will take 30 minutes to dry. I got a water stain because I don't want to deal with fumes. Satin sheen is essentially just acrylic, like an acrylic coat over everything. He said that one would also take 30 minutes, I think. I think he said pretty much 30 minutes for everything. I'm gonna give everything at least an hour just because I want to be a little overly cautious, and it's pretty humid where I live, so there's that. And then the gel antique is also like an acrylic, so both of those will have similar drying times to acrylic. Edge coat is basically a rubber. It's gonna need a little longer to dry, I think. I would prefer to give them all overnight to dry, but I don't have enough days to do that. So the water stain will go on first, and then it gets 2 coats of satin sheen, and then gets gel antique, which is basically just like a weathering medium. So you just put this on really liberally, and then you wipe it away so that the dark pigment settles into all the grooves and everything to give more contrast to what you've carved. And then edge coat is the last thing, and that goes on the edge of the belt and in the holes to keep it more weatherproof and like wear-proof. The tutorial I watched only put water stain in like the backgrounding parts, but I don't want the belt to be this color. I don't want it to stay this like weird fleshy color. It looks too much like skin for me, which I know leather is skin, but I don't want to be reminded of that all the time. So I do want to do like a light coat of the water stain all over everything, then go back in to make the background darker. So I think what I'm going to do is dilute the water stain. I'm going to start with 1:1 water and water stain and see how that goes, and then I'll go back in with full strength water stain. So that's basically the whole process for this, is just doing a lot of coats of paint, and then we'll just keep going. Okay, let's do it. I've gotten all the coats of everything. So next I have to put edge coat onto the edge of this belt. I need to take all this tape off first, but I think the belt and then the bottle holder strips are gonna get edge coat on it. And then I can actually assemble everything. How exciting. I didn't buy daubers. I am just using some scrap fabric because I figured why not use something I already have rather than buying something new. So one of the tutorials I watched said that they back it with cardboard or poster board and then they just leave the backing on there. I can see why they do that because the back of this is not pretty. So I don't know, maybe I should coat it with the super satin sheen, not the super sheen, the satin sheen, just to push down some of these fuzzies. Yeah, I guess I should probably do that before I do the edge coat. I'm gonna do that first. halfway through getting the edge coat on there, I totally forgot to slick the edges. This is called a slicker, and basically what you do is you, I should get it out of the package, I suppose. Pretend this is the belt. You just go on the edges and you go like this. And you do that until it's all smooth around the edges. And you're supposed to do that before the edge coat. I don't think I can do it after the edge coat because the edge coat's rubber, right? That's okay, I'll do it next time. I don't know, this is like a learning experience. So if I make a couple mistakes, then I'm trying to be lenient on myself. It'll be fine. But I've got the edge coat on there. Much messier than the YouTube videos led me to believe. They did it very quickly and easily, and it was kind of hard for me. I just got it everywhere. It's all over my hands. Now we just wait for this to dry and then I can assemble everything. Yay! I figured while I'm waiting for the edge coat to dry, I would put the bag together, called the Winsor Bag. So it came with instructions. They seem to be pretty good instructions. My only qualm with them is that there's not enough pictures. I like picture instructions a lot, but it's pretty simple, so I don't think it should be too bad. Let's take a crack at it, see how it goes. The kit comes with all of the pieces you'll need. This is my back belt loop part. It's very splotchy. It was the first thing that I dyed. Thankfully, it's the one that will go straight against my body, so no one will ever see it. But the kit comes with all of the pieces you need. So there's 2 body pieces for the bag, some gussets, a button, cute little button, goes on here like this for I don't know what reason. I guess it's to attach to the button. And then obviously the flap that I did all the detailing on. It also comes with a needle, so that's cool. Now I don't have to buy a needle for the other projects. Some cord and leather cord. Thread they gave me is very waxy. So I'm not gonna go through all of these instructions like step by step because it comes with instructions. So if you wanna make this bag, you should follow the instructions that it comes with. If there's anything that's particularly confusing, then I will try to clarify that once I figure it out. But for the most part, I think they should be pretty easy to follow. They even tell you thread lengths that you need. Is all done. I think it's very cute. It doesn't fit my phone, so that's really unfortunate, but it'll fit my wallet, so that's good enough. And my edge coat is dry. This side is already done, the pointy side of the belt. It doesn't need anything. So mostly it's just the buckle side that needs to be assembled, and that'll get folded over on itself with the buckle on this side, belt loop keeper in between these 2 holes, and then these 2 holes will get rivets. The strips for the bottle holders, I had a plan. I'm gonna kind of wing it, so you'll see what happens as it happens. Hi guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun learning some new skills and I think it turned out pretty well. Obviously it's not perfect, but I wouldn't expect it to be perfect since it's my first time trying anyways. So all in all, I think that this was a success. I definitely have a lot of room for improvement. There were a few steps that I just straight up missed. I don't think a few. I think there was just a one step that I completely skipped and I realized it halfway through, and I mentioned that before. I forgot about it until I already had the edge coat on, so this one did not get that. But next time I will remember that. You know, that's always like the best way to remember something is if you made a mistake and then you're like, now I'm never ever gonna forget that again. But generally I think this went really well and I'm super happy with how it turned out for my first time doing all of that stamping. Like, I think it turned out amazing. Like, I can visibly see the progress from one end of the belt to the middle of the belt and then like the other end. I started in the middle. And I think that like my technique really improved and I really think it's just like a lot of learning, like muscle memory and repetition. So that's cool, and the more I do it, the better I'll get. So I am really looking forward to doing some more leather projects in the future. I also have been super into the idea of doing leather armor for years at this point. I had a horrible project 2017-ish and I attempted to do a lot of foam armor and I like mangled my hands. I just like cut myself constantly because I guess my blades weren't sharp enough and I was slipping a lot. So then I was covered in foam dust, so there was foam dust getting into the cuts and I was really worried I was gonna get like some kind of infection, but it really put me off to armor forever. So like I have not done another armor cosplay since then. I didn't even finish that one, so you know, like there's that. But I've seen lots of armor designs that I think are really cool, not like full armor but like with armor pieces, and I've just completely stayed away from that because armor scares me so much. I think that doing leather armor would be a lot more up my alley, so I'm super excited that that is now a skill I have and can use. A few of the things that I'm really unsure of, and if you guys have any leather experience, please let me know what I'm supposed to do with this. The back of the belt and like the back side of all of the pieces I just left unfinished pretty much. I did the satin sheen, a coat of that on there, but it's still kind of ugly and raw looking. So hello. Oh, hello. Yeah, so I just left them raw looking without any like stain or anything and just the satin sheen. So I don't know if that's right or not. I have a feeling it's not because it doesn't look very pretty. Okay. And I know on the belt people leave their like poster board stabilizer on there, but I didn't use poster board, I used painter's tape, which was one of the options someone said in a YouTube video, and it's like a professional person, so I believe them. But I don't, like, should I put a lining in the bag? Probably, right? But like, how do you put a lining into leather? Because if I sew it like I would normally put a lining into a bag, it'll just perforate the leather. So I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do on like the back edge of like belts or inside of bags or any of that kind of stuff. The tutorials I found don't really cover what you do with the like not pretty side of everything. If you know what to do, let me know and I'll probably do some more research on my own as well. My one qualm with the bag is it's much smaller than it looks on the picture. It looks like it's big enough to hold a phone. It is definitely not big enough to hold my phone. Maybe when I had like a flip phone 10 years ago, it could have fit, but it definitely does not fit my phone. It does fit my wallet, so that'll work anyways. And I'm hoping to wear this belt to the Renaissance Festival, so that'll be coming up soon. I'm very proud of my first attempt at leatherworking, and I didn't do everything right, but you know, I did a lot right. So one step at a time, and next time I will get more stuff right. So, you know, okay. I'm rambling on a lot. I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any tips for me for leatherworking, if I did stuff wrong, oh, I know I did stuff wrong. So if you know what I did wrong, let me know so I can do it right the next time. And I don't know, if you want to try leatherworking, let me know and we can have like a leatherworking support group or something. And if you want to see the rest of this costume, we've got one more video of actually making stuff and then it's the reveal. And if you want to see my future projects, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. Okay, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.